Hey guys, welcome back for another edition of the F2T podcast. You're joined by your host King DX and
SHO 60.
And once again, we're going to be giving you guys the latest news. And today, we're going to be primarily focusing on the Nintendo Switch, the newly announced Nintendo console that'll be coming out in March of 2017. So to start off, Nintendo just showed it off. If you haven't seen it, I guess there'll be some spoilers for you, if you can really consider product news a spoiler. But if you don't want to know anything about it, I suggest that this will be your time. You turn the podcast off and maybe come back after you've seen it. So, with that being said, we've seen the console. Me and Sho both had a chance to take a look at it, and we're just going to go over our personal thoughts on the new console, what we know about it, and what we're kind of expecting out of it. Sho, you want to start off?
Yeah, so I guess the verbatim part is that, hey, it comes out in March. The console plays cartridges, which is kind of a switch. I know this has been rumored for a while, so it's not a big surprise, but I'm actually glad Nintendo made this move because, I mean, people's opinion aside, to me, this actually looks like they actually came to compete. And them merging their handheld market with their home console market, it was probably the best thing because in that one regard, they've always been king. So bringing the two together, it's like how could they lose? And this console could easily outsell the Wii.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I think when you talk about the home console market and the handheld market, I think this does bring up a very interesting point. Are they going to cannibalize their Game Boy sales? Like, are we going to have an issue where, are we 100% sure that Nintendo is not going to also have a handheld? Is this going to be their only console, or will they also still have a next generation Game Boy to go with it?
That is a good point. I think on the business perspective, though, it'll probably be best that they just kept it all in one. Because, I mean, again, you got your customers who will buy your Wii's and Wii U's will buy the Switch. Your customers who will buy the Game Boy Advance and 3DS will buy the Switch.
Yeah.
And then it's also development-wise, development times. You don't have to spend money developing here. Why? Because it's all one platform.
Yeah. Now, I guess when we think about the console, right? So we think about portability. Do you think the battery life on the actual tablet itself would be long enough to sustain as long as like a 3DS or, a Game Boy Advance?
So here's the running thing that I've been kicking around in my head. And it's like, okay, the Wii U, for all purposes, is a fail. Right?
Yeah.
And I own a Wii U. I'm a Nintendo fan. Like, I love my Zeldas and I love my Smash Brothers. I'm going to buy it no matter what console it comes out on as long as the game is good.
Yeah.
Right? But when I look at the Wii U and I look at the gamepad, I look at basically, I guess, maybe Nintendo's inspiration for the Switch. Like right now, the battery life for that gamepad is ass.
Okay.
Like if you don't plug that thing in, maybe 2 hours of gameplay.
Wow.
So I think it's almost impossible for Nintendo, you know what I mean, to like going forward. Then also, that docking station, I'm sure, is also a charger.
Of course.
So I would say maybe 5 hours. Long story short, maybe 5 to 6 hours of gameplay.
I don't know if 5 or 6 hours is enough for it to justify it being a handheld at that point.
Well, if it will just keep in the trailer, you see them kind of plug something into it for power too. So if it's 5 to 6 hours off a charge, and it still has a charger, I think that's fine. Considering that most cell phones won't hold up for 5 to 6 hours if you constantly play games on them too.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. So what do you think about the name of the new system, Nintendo Switch? What did you think about that?
I mean, well, in classic Nintendo fashion, they found a way to switch things up.
Womp, 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 womp.
I kind of think it's better than I think it's better than the Wii U because the Wii U name was trash, too close to the Wii. I think it's actually better than the Wii as well, and better than the NX. It's gimmicky, Nintendo Switch.
I actually like the NX. I actually think the NX sounds like a better name than Switch. I mean, mind you, because even though we know what the machine is now, I still don't think the word Switch really sells it. Like, I don't think it really brings it to your head.
It may not sell it to you, but you gotta keep in mind that, and then no offense to our listeners, hey, look, people are dumb.
Yeah.
And I just like the Switch is gimmick. The title is gimmicky enough to get past your ingrown natural defenses about stuff. That's what advertising is based off of anyway. Yeah. We slide right past your mental barriers. Oh man, that's a stupid name. Let me go buy one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, me personally, I'm not gonna buy it based off the name necessarily. I'm more so interested in the functionality. But I would think if I was going to shop for a Nintendo or just a console as a gift, um, I don't think I would see Switch and immediately think, oh, that like unless somebody specifically told me that's what they wanted, I don't think that would be something that would be like an eye catcher that would go, oh, I'm gonna buy that.
And that's fair because I was so caught up in the Switch that I was showing my coworkers the trailer. Cause I was like, yo, this is hot. Check this out. But some people I had to explain it to. Like some people couldn't get the fact. Like when they started showing them like separate the little parts from the I guess the gamepad when it's portable and use it like that, like a kind of nunchuck way. Like, oh wait, I don't get it. To me, I'm like, how do you not get it? It's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to say is that I could kind of get your point too. It's like one of those things that if you don't know, then you don't know.
Well, I guess with the controllers that separate from the actual tablet feature itself, right, the screen, those controls, do they have to be tied to the tablet in order for you to utilize them? Because I would assume, I mean, I know they have like that little device where you can put them both together and it's like a really weird looking controller essentially that has both Switch pieces on it. But if they're separate, so let's say you're out from your house and you have the tablet part and you have those two controllers. Do those controllers have to be tied to the tablet, or can you just like bring them up to like your lap and play with them, and then have like your tablet propped up somewhere else?
Well, just judging from how they showed it in the trailer, you can use them. Like you can bring them to yourself too.
Okay.
Because when they were playing, like in the one scene when the guy was on the airplane, he did it. And then the scene where the guys had two of them, like side by side, playing basketball. That's how they were playing.
Oh yeah. So that's pretty cool. I mean, from what I understand, the basic concept is that once the tablet is inside of the docking station, some of the original rumors was that the docking station essentially could provide more power for the game, so it kind of would scale the game and kind of do some other integral things on the back end and kind of make it have a little bit more higher fidelity essentially. So it seems like the docking station isn't going to be just for charging. Like it's going to have some actual features, whether that's extra storage space or whatever the case may be. Now, me personally, as somebody who's been dying to play a handheld Pokemon for a very long time,
yeah,
but hasn't been dying to spend a bunch of money on a 3DS just to buy Pokemon,
yeah,
I'm hoping that if they do decide to essentially make a home console that is also their portable market, that we'll start to see Pokemon come. Because I feel like people have been clamoring for a home version of Pokemon for so long that if this happens, I feel like this could single-handedly save Nintendo right now.
I agree. But this is the thing. You look at all of the great games that have come out. Like a lot of us, we had that nostalgia niche factor when it comes into these old school Mega Man games, the Pokemon games. Those games have been thriving on the Nintendo consoles, on the portables for the longest.
Yeah.
So just the potential for that to be on a home console too, like their market is unreal. And the thing I just think it's a very ambitious move for them to go this way.
Definitely.
Very ambitious.
Definitely. And I mean, I think, let's actually change subjects for a second. Let's actually talk about games. So I think you bring up a very interesting point. This console, I think, is going to lend itself well to like a lot of the old school 2D platformers that we've been accustomed to. So the Mega Mans, the Metroid, the Earthworm Gems, the Abe's Odysseys, all those games. Castlevania. Oh man, I love Castlevania. I think with us having a console like this, it might reinvigorate the platforming genre, because I feel like on PlayStation, on Xbox, a lot of times platformers don't really warrant us wanting to spend $60 anymore, right? It's like you see it and you're just like, oh, a platformer. Oh, how much are you charging for? Oh, it's just a platform. I don't feel like I should be paying that much. And then you end up seeing games on, Xbox Live Store, Marketplace, or a PlayStation Store. Mm-hmm. And essentially they're only really able to charge $20, $30 because that's how much the average gamer right now feels like they're worth. I think with a game like Mega Man, one of the reasons you probably don't see it come as much is because I think Capcom and publishers as a whole don't necessarily see the value in producing a game and then not being able to charge.
There's a bunch of diminishing returns on it.
Exactly, but if the Nintendo Switch has a great success and there's a fan base there, or there's a player base there that's willing to accept and embrace those types of games, I think then they can make those Mega Man games, those experiences, a lot bigger and be able to charge $60. Because me personally, if a Castlevania Symphony of the Night came out this day and age, and I mean it was structured very well like Castlevania, I would buy it. However, I don't see one of those coming out for the PlayStation or coming out for the Xbox One, primarily because I think so many people have become fascinated and fixated on 3D, that when you don't present them 3D, they see it as diminished value. And I'm hoping that with a Nintendo console that people like if you look at Splatoon, I feel like if Splatoon came out on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, it wouldn't be that as successful as it is.
Guaranteed.
Because I feel like there's just a group of gamers on Nintendo console that are more open to different types of ideas.
Yep.
And that's something I personally miss as of having a PlayStation for the last 3 generations. So I've had a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2. I bought a Wii the same day it came out when you had one as well.
Yes, sir.
And I immediately got rid of my Wii and couldn't even force myself through Twilight Princess because I got sick of the Wii mode.
You know, you actually put on what is known as like one of the hardest. So people rate that Sky City dungeon.
Sky City,
the one with the double hook shot. Remember when you quit?
I stopped right after. So I just got the ball. I wanted the chain and ball to throw through ice. I think the last boss I fought, I was on like a little spinning top.
Right.
That goes around.
Oh, so you never got to the next dungeon?
I don't think so. I think that's right when I stopped. Like I got the little top, and then I fought the dragon, like the bone skeleton dragon or whatever. Hopping around him going up. After that, I was just like, I'm done with this game.
Oh, because like the next dungeon after that, some people said that was like one of the hardest Zelda dungeons ever.
Oh, really? See, I didn't even know all that, but I never even played it. So, or maybe I did. Is that the one with the ball and chain at that point?
It's the one right after it.
Oh, okay. So.
You get the double call.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so look, what are your thoughts on the system being cartridge based?
It doesn't really bother me much. The only thing that's kind of good about that is I assume that I don't know how they're gonna handle like doing DRM, right? So like one problem I run into a lot when I'm playing on the PlayStation, because I have a Vita, I got a PlayStation 4, I got a PlayStation 3 still. That sometimes I'll have issues where it tells me, like, if I'm not connected to the internet, that, log in to prove that you own this content, essentially, or make this PlayStation your primary system. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I mean, I guess you're not going to get it on a disc-based game, so maybe you still don't get it on a cartridge-based game. I'm just not, I'll put it this way. I don't really care. As long as the cartridge is capable of holding as much data as necessary for developers to be able to build on top of, that doesn't really bother me. Load times have never really been an issue on cartridge-based games from what I can tell. So if anything, load time should be good compared to disc-based. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really bother me. If anything, the potential for games to get damaged should be a lot lower than it is for a CD-based game or a DVD, Blu-ray-based game to get damaged.
So this just popped in my head. So first off, right, I'm assuming that we know that the Switch will still support download games, right?
I would assume so, but we don't know what type of infrastructure Nintendo's putting in place. That's one thing I'm very curious about.
I mean, but you could download on the Wii U, so I would assume.
Yeah, but it's a really crappy experience.
True, but check this out though. Like, what if they just switch to like flash stores? Like just really think about it. How much money will it cost to have a USB drive?
For storage space?
Not just for storage space, but like the actual games could probably fit on USB joints.
I'm sure they could. I mean, I'm sure they're probably using that technology to some extent in the cartridge. We don't know anything about the cartridges yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So they could be using it.
Well, I'm just saying that though. People be like, "Oh, well, it's cartridge. Oh, it's not DVD." Well, shit. Technically, I'm sure you probably get more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, not saying that they're doing this, but that subtle concept could probably revolutionize the industry.
I mean, you can get micro SDs at 32 gigabytes and stuff like that. So it's not impossible.
A bigger SD could easily do 60 or 100, which is the same as like a dual layer Blu-ray.
Exactly. So I don't think cartridge-based technology is going to be as much of an issue these days as it was in the past. And like I said, it might have a longer shelf life, essentially, just from people playing it and tossing it around, not taking care of their games, opposed to people using Blu-rays where they're going to get scratched up and then you're going to have an issue with it.
I'm just out of awe that Nintendo kind of was like, man, we riding with this same old tech. People been dogging it, but now, I mean, will this system be more powerful than the PlayStation 4 Pro or the Xbox Scorpio when that comes out? No.
Yeah.
But it does, like, even a controller and a console, it looks quality. It don't look cheap. It's like Nintendo said, hey, man, look, we finna throw our hat in the ring. We here. Let's bang.
Well, I think the biggest problem with Nintendo right now, I think Nintendo's doing something smart. They're not trying to get into the holiday sales war with the PlayStation and the Xbox One, which is smart because more than likely when a Nintendo Switch comes out, it's going to come out currently priced higher than both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I think both Sony and Microsoft are in a position in which if they needed to, if Nintendo decided to drop their console this holiday season, they could both lower their price and take a hit, but they can stop they can stop Nintendo from being able to gain a significant amount of ground.
So how much money do you think the console will cost?
I'm thinking at least $400 at least.
I think $350 to $400. I don't think it's going to be much more than that though.
I think the tablet itself probably costs MSRP on the tablet is probably like, I'm sure $150, $200. That's your main powerhouse. Then you got the base. Then you got the little Switch controllers. So in my mind, I'm thinking around $400.
But the little Switch controllers are all part of the tablet though.
I mean, I'm thinking about how much it probably costs to actually.
Saying, but when you said the tablet part, you mainly talking about the screen.
Yeah, the screen itself.
Everything connected to it. Yeah, I mean.
And are they going to have replacement screens? Like, if you break that screen,
man,
can you go to the store and say, "Oh, I just need to buy another screen"? Or do you have to buy a whole new system? Because wasn't that an issue with the Wii U where people broke their tablet and was like, "Oh, well, I can't find a replacement."
Man, I think that thing cost when they finally did start. It was an issue when it first came out. I think that thing cost like $150 to replace.
And the new one looks a lot slicker and
it looks more durable, but I can see it costing more too. Like that thing, that shit might be $200, easy.
Yeah. So I think that's something that they'll have to look into. But by them coming out in March, I think what they do is they're in a season where if they come out and they start getting a lot of sales, they're not necessarily in danger of Sony or Microsoft needing to pull off a desperation attempt.
And they could probably make enough money back off the console to drop the price come November next year for holidays.
If they can get production costs down yet. I think so. But, the other thing about that is they missed some very important games that are coming out. So Titanfall just came out. Call of Duty. There's just a lot of big multi-platform games coming out. And they may miss some of those games. So the only question is that going to hurt them? Like, will they have enough games to sustain the console when it comes out in March? So I'm assuming Zelda will be ready to go when the console launches.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing too. The Wii U will support Unreal 4. And what's that other engine? It's another.
The Wii U?
No, I said the Wii U, but I meant Nintendo Switch. I
apologize.
Yeah, the Nintendo Switch will support Unreal 4. And it's another one. It's not Universal. You know it way better than I do. It's a game.
Really?
There you go. Unity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it'll support Unity. So I think third party wise, they may be okay.
Okay.
It's really just gonna break down to see like what will Nintendo go for, because Nintendo still is gonna do what Nintendo does best.
Yeah.
And since Nintendo
delay games.
Their last two consoles, I don't think were sold at a loss. So it'd be very interesting to see will they be able to keep this trend going.
Well, the Wii was so profitable. I mean, they made enough money from the Wii to really have a bunch of cash kind of sitting around, but they also wasted so much money on the Wii U that who knows how much money they have in reserves now.
True, but I think they're gonna get their money back from the Wii U, because when you look at all of the early stuff from Zelda Breath of the Wild, right? Mm-hmm. That game was released and shown on the Wii U. That's how you played it, right? Then you look at the Nintendo Switch, right? Mm-hmm. And essentially the console ain't nothing but a souped up version of the Wii U gamepad.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that they probably was like all of their R&D. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we're building upon this.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that they sell this console at a profit, even if it's $400, because you know Sony and Microsoft. I don't even know when that system first came out, they still weren't selling at a profit for $400. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
So,
I think one issue though, you know, when you look at it, I think what Nintendo's doing is kind of scary because Microsoft will have their new console ready to go end of next year. So Scorpio will be ready to go next year, end of next year. I think the problem with Scorpio is that Microsoft's going to have the same problem Sony just ran into. How are you going to convince people to buy this new console? It's more powerful, but like you've already said, it's going to have to play the same games as everything else. So for me, I had a PlayStation Pro pre-order, and I actually canceled my pre-order because at the end of the day, I legitimately could not convince myself to why I needed me a PlayStation 4 Pro. I could not. Like, I kept trying to think of all these different angles. I'm not buying into VR right now because I still feel like VR has some issues as far as like...
Some issues.
I mean, it has massive issues. The fact that I can't really play it. Like, for VR technology to work, they're going to need a legitimate, fairly cheap, essentially treadmill that you can walk on that keeps you stationary but allows you that freedom of movement. Until that's ready, VR won't be ready. Because it's really hard to immerse yourself in like this world or environment when you still have to be stationary. You still have a controller in your hand.
I think they're wrong for kind of going the VR route. I think the augmented reality route is probably the best.
Augmented reality is the best because then people can still be aware of their surroundings.
Yep.
But then they can interact. I feel like you take a game like Pokemon Go, and all the success it's been having. AR really works because then you can still be interacting with your world. So if they had what was the thing that Microsoft released? HoloLens, which is essentially their step into, we'll call it virtual reality technology, but technically it's augmented reality. HoloLens is awesome because you can still see what's going on around you, but you have the game. They actually showed off, I think it was a couple years back now, they had HoloLens glasses. Might have been last year, and they actually came down here and they were showing it off. And they were playing Minecraft on top of a table, and you were like legitimately seeing it in your world, and it looked awesome. And I feel like a company like Nintendo is somebody that would really take advantage of that. So with the Switch, the one thing I'm kind of happy that I'm not seeing a bunch of gimmicks. I feel like sometimes Nintendo is really known for gimmicks.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, it's not me talking down at Nintendo or anything they do. It's more so that this time, to me, looking at the console feels a lot more solid. Yep. Now, the one thing I do have a question about, and if depending on the answer, I may have a problem with the controller they showed. So they showed a real solid controller that looked very similar to an Xbox controller. Does that controller come with the console, or is that something I have to buy separately?
From experience with Nintendo consoles as of late, I would say something you got to buy separately. I could be wrong, but like the Wii had a Pro controller, the Wii U had a Pro controller, and then Wii U's Pro controller was actually actual good stick.
Okay.
So I'm with you though. Like, this is another 50. Let's say
60.
another 50.
Might as well say 60. I don't know. Last time I bought a controller, that was $50.
I'm just saying 50 just because Nintendo stuff do be a bit cheaper than Sony and Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'm with you though, because it's like I would love to play with that. That controller looks good. You know what I mean? But it's like they're going another $50 out the door.
Yeah. So let's talk about games again. So we know that we have Zelda Breath of the Wild coming out.
Right.
What other games do we foresee coming out on the Nintendo Switch? And if we don't foresee them, what games are you looking to see on Nintendo Switch?
I think they announced the Mario Galaxy.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think they announced the Mario Galaxy. Mario Kart. I mean, honestly, give me a good Metroid game, because Metroid and Mario were like non-existent during the lifespan of the Wii U. Mm-hmm. And then shit, it really don't matter at this point. I need Smash Brothers in my life, though.
Yeah, Smash, huh?
Man, just to try to make people hate me playing with Cloud. I be beating the snot out of fools with Cloud.
It'd be cool to see what type of technology they're gonna use inside of the tablet for doing multiplayer games, because one issue I had, right? So with my Vita obviously can connect to Wi-Fi. But I wonder, like, I don't know if you remember when the Vita first came out, they had it where you could get it on, I think it was AT&T. You like literally, they had two versions of the Vita that came out originally, and one of them you could tie to AT&T, and you would pay a phone bill for data. And you could essentially always be online as long as your AT&T technically had service. You could use the AT&T's network to kind of play.
How'd that work out?
I don't know because I didn't because the moment they announced AT&T,
does Sony still offer that?
I don't know, but what I do know is that the moment they announced it was AT&T, I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And I opted for the cheaper model. But I'm curious to see if Nintendo goes into something like that. Like, are they going to try to focus on an always connected world, or is it just going to be just a traditional like 3DS, where it's just like, you can tie in the Wi-Fi if you're near it, or whatever the case may be.
Honestly, I think that's the best method.
Yeah.
The reason being is because it's like, even with our phones now, who doesn't have Wi-Fi hotspot on their phone?
Yeah, I just tether my PlayStation to my phone.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think the real thing, I guess, silver lining for Nintendo here is that it's like they're kind of banking on stuff that they already know. Like how earlier you was like, it doesn't seem like it's a gimmick. Like Nintendo's been here before. They know the handheld market. They're just putting the handheld market and our console market together. Like there's almost no way for them to lose. So I think if they did go that route, well, I mean, there'll be some early adopters who will be like, oh, well, yeah, I pay $30, $39.99 a month for my Switch. I'm always connected. But it's like, it's unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like, it's an unnecessary hurdle. So, I mean, if it was up to me, I'd be like, hell no.
All right. So, let me say, as far as some games and stuff I'm looking to see. So, I do want to play Zelda because it's been a while since I played a Zelda that I didn't hate. I hated Twilight Princess. I mean, look, I'm the old school Zelda guy. I like Link to the Past. I like Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, Ocarina of Time. Even though Link to the Past is the best, I don't care what anyone says. So I love Zelda. So I'm happy to see Breath of the Wild. To me, I see it and I think that's a great game. But some other games that I would like to see, maybe a new Pikmin. Splatoon, they showed a Splatoon in their trailer, but I don't know if it's a new version that's been announced yet. So hopefully there'll be a new Splatoon. That's actually a game I was kind of excited about, even though I didn't own a Wii U. It looked really good to me. And Mario Kart, obviously. I think Mario Kart is just a classic. And other Nintendo properties, perhaps a new Star Fox. Not 100% big on Smash, but I can see myself possibly getting it just to have it. I think that's all I really want to see. Like, all I'm really looking for is really kick-ass Nintendo properties. Not really too excited about a Bayonetta. But I think all the traditional Nintendo franchises I'm definitely very excited about. Even a Mario Party could be great. Just, to have to play around with. Yeah,
but hopefully Nintendo they finally solve this problem with their consumers now. Because, like, no, we buy a Nintendo console because we want Nintendo games. And it's like, for us being a generation who grew up with it, it's like, dog, I gotta have it. It's like home to us, it's second nature. Now, if Nintendo can kind of really bridge that gap to the third parties like they have the SNES, that'll be fucking unstoppable.
So, how, and I guess we should probably end it up because we're kind of getting a little on time. So, with the Switch, what ways do you think Nintendo can mess up and essentially kill this machine? What can they do wrong here?
By committing some of the same mistakes they made with the Wii U.
Like what?
I mean, just, again, third-party support. The Wii U had none. You know what I mean? Then there's, like, the versions of games that came out on the Wii U, like their version of Arkham Origins. Who cares?
So, do we think games like Mortal Kombat, the violent, bloody games, the Call of Duties, do we see those coming out on the new Nintendo system?
I think in order for them to survive, it'll be necessary for games like 2K, games like Madden, and probably games like as much as I hate to admit it, but just like Call of Duty, that's one of those people buy games now too. Like even with us as Destiny players, or me as a Gears of War player, or me as a Halo player, I'm not buying every game that comes out. Y'all can kick rocks.
Exactly.
But there are certain games that people will buy every year. I think 2K, Madden, and Call of Duty, I think those are those games.
I mean, you like Call of Duty, though.
I like Titanfall. I don't really care for Call of Duty.
Whoa! You're
The original Titanfall.
You're starting to sound like a fanboy. Don't say you don't like Call of Duty. Nah, you know people get hurt about that when you say you don't like Call of Duty.
Look, they can get as butt hurt as they want, but my issue with Call of Duty is just you die too easy. Like I don't like turning around and getting shot and not knowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At least
I know
in Halo, I can turn the tables.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. So, I think kind of speaking on that point. So, as far as what I think they can do wrong, from Nintendo's standpoint, I think if they come in overpriced, it's gonna hurt them.
Anything over anything other $400 is overpriced.
If they come in, I mean, they're gonna come in with Zelda, I'm sure. But if they don't come in with in the next 3 months after that with 2 more great games, and a couple third-party games to kind of help, make that transition a lot easier for people, I think that's going to be a problem. Now, I'm not sure what games are coming out necessarily in the summer, but if there's any multi-platform games, I hope that any multi-platform games coming out in the summer, I'm really, really hoping that Nintendo's already on board, even like with Red Dead Redemption.
And that's something that that's something that will save them. And then you really look at it, right? No company's first-party titles, right, have short developmental times.
No.
But the fact that Nintendo, we really saw this with the Wii U. The Wii to an extent too, but we really saw the Wii U was like, since y'all don't have this third-party support, it's like, yo, when is the game coming out?
Yeah.
When is your next game coming out on your console? So they really do need that third-party stuff. So it's like, okay, well, Red Dead Redemption, let's say it comes out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch.
It needs to. For them to be successful, I feel like it has to. And then they have to hope no big sharks come out when their system releases too. Like, I don't know if we have a release date yet on the new God of War.
Which, to be honest, I could easily see that come out in March.
Good. Because I don't think Sony has anything else coming out. I think Horizon Zero Dawn may be coming out around that time.
Which even I'm looking to buy. I'm looking to pick that up. That looks going to be good.
I think that game may be coming out. I don't think Microsoft really has anything coming out at the beginning of next year as of right now that's been announced.
I think you're right.
Summer, so we might have some games coming out unannounced in summertime. Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably going to come out next year.
This ain't a fall, so it'll probably come out in September.
Oh, okay.
August, like GTA 5 did.
Yeah, so I mean, the main thing is that if I'm Nintendo, I'm frantically looking at every single game in development right now that has not released, and I'm sending over my own developers. I'm sending over teams to try to get ports made as soon as possible to run on their system. That's what I would do. And then I think something else they have to really, really take to heart this round is they're going to have an online infrastructure that's not shitty friend codes. That's like, oh, tell me your friend code. Oh yeah, 01-58. No one has time for all that. You know what I mean?
This is true.
So they have to fix that. And then one thing they have to do, same problem that Sony ran into when they tried to compete with Xbox Live, is that their infrastructure wasn't in place. And what happened? They started getting DDoS all the time. Servers off and on, servers off and on, PlayStation outages. They have to have an infrastructure strong enough that the moment it comes out, it needs to be comparable to the Xbox Live and to the PlayStation Network. Because if it's not, then it's going to be no point if you guys make a new service and every 5 seconds it's down. That's not going to do anything but alienate people.
This is true. And now, that gap, I don't think they're going to be able to close.
Okay.
Well, just because, you got to look at it. Xbox Live now is, the size of the original internet when it launched. I think those 300 servers that the internet originally launched with, that's the size of Xbox Live now. you know what I'm saying, though? But then also, kind of, not necessarily Nintendo's defense, but at the same time, Xbox Live has been running for 10 years. Which is why, more than 10 years. Which is why, even when I look at Sony, honestly, when everyone was big on PlayStation 3, internet's free, I knew that was not going to last.
Yeah.
For someone who's, I've been on Xbox Live every step of the way. There's no way you have quality internet like that. It's not realistic.
Yeah.
So, I'm saying all this to say that Nintendo can do it. But I'm just saying this all this to agree with you. Nintendo has to do it.
But do they have to charge for it?
I mean, yeah.
And is that a hard sell for parents that are used to just getting their child a Nintendo? It's like, here's your Nintendo, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey mom, I need your credit card. Why?
I mean, true, but then the other part of that is that what if Nintendo do it the same way that they've been doing it? Well, hey, for us online, nah, they I take that they have to. because like the online part of games is like it's a staple now. So it's like you aren't playing Call of Duty if you're not playing Call of Duty online.
Maybe
you aren't playing 2K if you're not playing online.
Maybe Nintendo cuts their licensing fee to publishers. So let's say a publisher normally would charge $60 for a game, right? And let's say out of publishing fees, Nintendo maybe gets like $10 per game sale. Maybe now Nintendo only gets $7 per game sale, and maybe $3 goes to their network infrastructure. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be done that way, but I'm saying maybe they have to come up with something like that.
I mean, it's a solution, so I'm with you.
It's not a solution. It's a guess from somebody who has no clue how their business side of things.
Well, it's better than some people. All they want to do is talk about what's wrong. Instead of trying to come up with if you do this, it could.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of some type of reasonable solution where they could try to get some type of system in place, because the biggest thing is if they get behind in that space again, I don't feel like Nintendo's in a position where they can have another bad system. Nintendo's not in a good position right now. Just like Sony wasn't in a good position to have a bad PS4. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
That's where Nintendo is. If they come out and they don't come out the gate ready, if they come out to massive red rings of death, and they come out to massive blue lights of death like the PlayStation 4 had, if they come out like that, they're gone. And I don't see how they can come back.
Well, here's the thing, though. I feel like the gaming industry is just like the music industry. We got all of these stars like, R. Kelly, who, pissed on a little girl and all this stuff.
Wow.
But
okay.
The moment, I'm saying, I know,
okay.
Just follow my analogy, though, right? But the moment you put out some classic material, people forget about what was wrong.
Yeah.
So that I think that even though they made these same mistakes with the Wii U, I think that gave them the time to really focus on this next Zelda Breath of the Wild. Because you look at Breath of the Wild, and once you get on the Wii U or the Switch, you like, damn, this game's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you aren't worried about you so much. But I'm trying to say is if they put out classic material, they'll be fine. But I just think they really need to space their releases out really well. Because like you said, 2 months, they need to be dropping another game.
Yeah.
Then probably 3 months after that, they need a brand new Nintendo game.
Yeah.
And because if they don't, then yeah, I could see us being like, well, better luck next time.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, that's our discussion for the Nintendo Switch. We're going to go ahead and sign off, but we will be back again for another edition of the First to Three podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and let us know what you guys think about the Nintendo Switch in the comments below. Once again, I'm King DX.
With Show 60.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace out.